GMO market is big enough for competition and it may need some. This quote is said by Matthew O'Hara, an official with the Biotechnology Industry Organization in Washington, D.C. The truth behind this quote is exactly why I support GMOs, and I hope to persuade you to do the same. According to my audience analysis, you would all like to know why the GMO market is in such controversy today. I have done some research of opposing sides, and I have come to the conclusion to side with the pro-GMO use side. Today, I will provide you with the information about the history of GMOs and where you can find GMOs. GMOs can be traced back in history, so let's take a look at where it all began. According to G.L. Woosley's online timeline called GMO Timeline, A History of Genetically Modified Foods, GMO Inside, in 1935, DNA was discovered. In 1973, the Stanford University Medical School took the idea of man-made DNA and ran with it. In 1975, the first patent for the guidelines for GMOs were set. In 1980, the first patent for a living organism was awarded. In 1994, the Flavor Saver tomato was put on the grocery store shelves as the first genetically modified organism for purchase, administered by the Food and Drug Administration. Between 1996 and 2003, the GMO market boomed across the nation, including products such as resistant weeds, resistant pesticides, and food crops. Now today in 2016, it's harder to find a product that is not a GMO rather than it being the other way around. Whether they are viewed as a positive or as a negative, GMOs are sweeping the market. Now that I've given you the information about the history of GMOs, I will now provide you with the information of where you can find GMOs. A lot of people think that GMOs only come up in our food products, but I'm here to tell you that there's so much more. Yes, food products are commonly associated with GMOs, so let's just see how much. According to Antonio Regaldo's book called Farmers Grow Generic GMOs, corn is the #1 produced crop in the U.S., and 88% of corn is genetically modified. You can find corn in a lot of our everyday today products. The second being soybeans. 93% of all soybeans are genetically modified, and China actually buys 1/4 of all soybeans produced in the U.S., and every 3 years China does require the U.S. to re-register all GMOs so that all of our technology and records are up to date. The next being cottonseed, and 94% of all cottonseed is genetically modified, and you can find those in products such as your margarines or your fried foods such as potato chips. 75% of papaya is genetically modified to be resistant to the ring spot virus. You can find canola in cooking oils and biofuels, and 90% of all canola is genetically modified. 54% of our entire sugar source comes from sugar beets, and 90% of all sugar beets are genetically modified. Though GMOs do come up in our food industry, there are many other fields where it does come in, one including bioremediation. What is bioremediation, you might ask? Well, according to F.H. Chappell's article called Bioremediation, Nature's Way to a Cleaner Environment in the U.S. Geographical Magazine, remediation means to solve a problem, so bioremediation means to solve an environmental problem. In 1992, microorganisms were used to break down toxic compounds such as chemicals in our soil, and sewage and pollution and crude oils in our water. Bioremediation helps stop the progression of that contamination in our water, soil, and air. And examples of bioremediation genetically modified organisms include yeast, bacteria, and fungi. Another industry is medicine, which is actually the #1 industry that GMOs are being used. In Yasmin Thalanava's journal called Genetic Engineering in Medicine, bananas are being experimented with. These bananas will carry the vaccines for diarrhea and hepatitis B, and the trees with these bananas will be grown in developing countries and will be used instead of shots. This will be more cost effective and will help more and more victims of these sicknesses every day. Antibiotics are also being experimented with. A desired chemical from an organism is injected into bacteria, and after 24 hours, a drug is ready to be harvested, resulting in a faster, more efficient way to produce and sell drugs. GMOs, you see, are affecting our entire lives, from our food to our healthcare. Today I've provided you with the history and where you can find GMOs. Whether you have paid attention to the labels on the back of the products that you purchase, GMOs are everywhere. And so the only way that GMOs can make a bigger impact than what they already do is if we take the first step in accepting GMOs as a necessity rather than a luxury or a hindrance.